I rise today in support of H.R. 6825, the Nonprofit Security Grant Program Improvement Act. More than 20 years after the September 11th attacks, the terrorism threat landscape has grown significantly more complex, and houses of worship and other nonprofits have become targets for domestic and foreign terrorists. Earlier this year, 4 Americans were held at gunpoint by a terrorist at a synagogue in Colleyville, Texas. During the Colleyville attack, Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker used security training to help bring the standoff to an end without injury to his congregants. The training that proved so crucial that Sabbath was funded by the Department of Homeland Security's Nonprofit Security Grant Program. The NSGP, as it has come to be known, is a competitive grant program that provides funding to nonprofit organizations, such as religious institutions, at high risk of a terrorist attack to help bolster their security. Grant funding is primarily used to pay for active shooter training, fencing, barriers, and surveillance cameras. In recent years, demand for the program has grown. It's grown exponentially, given the heightened threat environment that we face. Over the past 3 years, to meet this demand, Congress has increased funding almost threefold to $250 million in fiscal year 2022. Even with significant new resources, FEMA reported that in fiscal year 2021, there was a $200 million gap between applications and funding. To provide FEMA with more resources to help bolster the security of more at-risk nonprofits, H.R. 6825 authorizes $500 million in grant funding for fiscal years 2023 to 2028. This bipartisan bill, which was introduced by the leaders of the Committee on Homeland Security, Chairman Benny Thompson and Ranking Member John Katko, also includes a range of enhancements to the program's operations. H.R. 6825 would establish a dedicated program office to carry out education, outreach, and engagement to provide technical assistance and support. Among other things, it includes technical changes to eliminate or prevent administrative or operational obstacles that may impact access by eligible applicants, set baseline requirements for states that administer the program, and requires audits to prevent waste, fraud, and abuse. The legislation, which was developed in close coordination with FEMA, was unanimously supported by the committee in March. Before I conclude, I'd like to address an article that appeared in the Jewish Link, a prominent news outlet for the Jewish community in New Jersey and New York, in which questions were raised about the grant guidance for the program for the current fiscal year. On behalf of Chairman Thompson, let me express my appreciation to Representatives Pascrell and Gottheimer in particular for alerting the committee to these concerns and the chairman's commitment to engage FEMA about the questions that were raised. With that, I urge my colleagues to support this legislation and reserve the balance of my time.